Hello and welcome to this late afternoon taste challenge. Here we are with two Kentucky straight rye whiskeys. This is Jim Beam Pre-Prohibition Rye. This is the newer bottle. They had a different more cylindrical bottle at the beginning back in 2015. You might still see those around. I haven't. I think I've seen them. Well, actually, I think I've seen them at international market. But this is the standard one. I had to get this in Baton Rouge because I couldn't find it around here. I went to Walmart here today. They did not have it. I bought this for $17.49 at Total Wine and More. No age statement. Pre-prohibition style, whatever that's supposed to mean. 45% alcohol, 90 proof. Aged in new charred white oak barrels to 90 proof. Well, it has to be aged in new charred white oak barrels, so it's going to be a straight rye. Distinctly dry spice rye with a long, soft finish, making this classic all-American spirit the perfect choice for any whiskey cocktail. Beautiful bottle, beautiful price, $17.49. Oh, yeah. Now, the competitor. Older company, but even newer product. Yes, this is the old Overholt straight rye whiskey. Now, some of y'all are going to say, that's not new. That's been around since 1810, dummy. It's got a, I'm going to go wipe it off. It's got a little dust or whatever on it. Yes, the company is old. It's been around since 1810. They started in Pennsylvania, all right? Abraham Overholt Rye Whiskey Company. I think that's all they ever made was rye whiskey. Okay. But they got bought out a good while ago, like, I don't know, at least 20 years ago. And the distillery in Pennsylvania is like abandoned. I saw videos on YouTube where people were trespassing. They weren't tearing it up or, like vandalizing it. They were just taking videos of it. And some of the equipment's still there, but it looked like it was pretty dangerous. It wasn't real huge. But that little distillery just kept pumping out rye whiskey for a long time. But they got bought out by Jim Beam Company, now Beam-Suntory, and it's just shut down. I don't know who owns property. Seemed like they could be liable for people getting hurt if they don't secure it. But anyway, I'm not a lawyer. All right. But this is the 2020 edition, the new old Overholt with the red cap. I call it the red cap because it's got a red cap. The old one had the black cap. It's a different bottle design. You say it didn't look different to me. It's the same old thing. It is different. If you look at the two labels side by side, they are different. The old one says registered U.S. trademark. It's got a different pen and ink drawing of him. It's mostly the same, but it is different. Now, the whiskey inside is definitely different because this is 86 proof. The black cap is 80 proof. They both aged 3 years. This version is non-chill filtered. The old version was chill filtered. They claim it makes it better. This rye is non-chill filtered. Can't give you the website because there is no website listing. In 1810, Abraham Overholt began distilling rye whiskey in western Pennsylvania, and rye has been our focus ever since. Our focus. Old Overholt is one of the oldest cornerstones of American rye whiskey. This rye is non-chill filtered, which gives the whiskey a richer, fuller flavor. In cold temperatures, the whiskey may appear cloudy or have visible particles, but which is both normal and natural. Well, it's certainly not cold here in July. So it's got the keystones on the four corners for the Keystone State, Pennsylvania, Penn's Woods. But it says distilled in Kentucky. It's Pennsylvania born, the brand name, but it is Kentucky straight. It says Old Overholt straight rye whiskey. Yeah, well, it's Kentucky straight rye whiskey, but they, they're trying to not really focus on that too much. All right, but anyway, these companies get bought out. It's sad that the old distillery in Pennsylvania is now an abandoned site. But I can't explain that. Today on Fox News, Fox and Friends, I was getting ready to clean the house. I was already cleaning, actually. And they had a report about Jim Beam bourbon. And they were saying since this scamdemic started, bourbon drinking has gone way up, or drinking in general, I guess. And then the bourbon trail is really popular because it's not too expensive and there's a lot of fun stuff to do, and it's kind of easy to negotiate, to get around on the highways in Kentucky. And they said, well, Beam is one of the big, obviously big tourist attractions on the Bourbon Trail. And they were interviewing the grandson of Jim Beam and the great-grandson. No, I'll retract that. They were interviewing the great-great-grandson of Jim Beam, the great-great-grandson, and the great-great-grandson. The great-grandson and the great-great-grandson. All right. And they were asking him, like, well, what was your great-grandfather like? And he said, well, look, he died 10 years before I was born, so they didn't really know, what was his character like? They didn't know. It's just the great-grandson said, well, there were the Noes, Parker Noe, N-O-E, because, the Beams had daughters and they married a Noe family, and that they inherited that name. But they were saying, well, he was real formal, like Parker Noe was saying. I got a photo of him fishing in Canada wearing a three-piece suit. Yeah. Like he said, I would be wearing blue jeans, and a shirt, a collar shirt. He's over there in Canada fishing wearing a three-piece suit. So they said he was very, modern businessman in the 1930s. We're going to go anywhere without a three-piece suit. And then the guy on Fox and Friends News said, what would you think of us over here with our polo shirts? And they were like, he probably wouldn't like it. All right, but they were just talking about Jim Beam is real popular, All right, anyway, and then the guy that was doing the news report, naturally, he said, well, I'm going to stay behind here in Kentucky, and I'll be doing all the tasting for y'all. I'm going to do a lot of tastings later. And they laughed, ha, ha, ha. And then apparently they were going to do some more reports from, like, Tennessee with Jack Daniels, and I don't know, they can't do Barton 1792 because that distillery discontinued their tours June 30th. I went there, thankfully, before they closed it down. They gave some kind of nebulous reasons. I think the real reason they shut down the tours is nobody was going there. I went on the tour and they had one other guy on the tour when I went, Just some of these things don't attract people for whatever strange reason, It was a great tour. When I went to Houston, Texas, I took a great tour. It was expensive, over $30, but it was called the Brewmasters Tour. And it was fabulous, lasted 2 hours, and they gave me it seemed like unlimited beers to try. Try this, try that. But I was the only one on the tour, like 10:30 in the morning. I was the only one on the tour. When I was thinking to myself, and it is beautiful gallery room with a gift shop and taps and just wonderful. I mean, they must have spent millions of dollars on this, in Houston, Texas. I was like, man, this is great. You could rent it for parties, and there was nobody there except for me. And I thought, this is not a good sign. It's not in the tourist part of Houston. It's in the industrial eastern section. Well, it wasn't long after I took the tour, they said they weren't going to give tours there anymore. I thought, that's a shame, They took me to the lab and everything, the laboratory. I got to watch them test the beers. They were testing hurricane high gravity that day. True story. They had bottles with corks in it, hurricane high gravity. So if you think they just throw those beers together, even if it's an inexpensive brand like Hurricane High Gravity, with no care, you're wrong, you're wrong. And they were analyzing and make sure it's up to the perfect Hurricane High Gravity malt liquor standard. It's kind of funny, you know, but I mean, it's the truth. That's why it always tastes the same and it's good. Not too strong for me. I don't drink the stuff. All right. But some places attract people. Buffalo Trace, you'd be waiting in line to take a tour. But at Barton, they didn't have anybody. Same thing in St. Louis, Missouri. You go to the Budweiser tour, you'd be waiting in line. Go to Houston, nobody there. Riowan says, should have done Jim Beam Rye versus Jack Daniels Rye. Oh, well, be patient. Be patient, because that's on the schedule. Believe me, you. Believe you, me. It's coming. I already got it on the counter. I got them lined up. But I got to do Woodford Reserve. I got Woodford Reserve Rye and Jack Daniels. They're both from Brown-Forman. So, oh, yes. I got Sazerac Rye, Woodford Reserve Rye, Jack Daniels Rye. I got Hunter Rye, Canadian Hunter Rye, 90 proof Hunter Rye. That's kind of rare. And then I've got Northern Harvest Rye from Crown Royal. It's probably the best of the whole. Oh, and I have George Dickel Rye. It's not a straight rye, but it's from Indiana, George Dickel Rye. I forgot about that one. That's in the lineup. Maybe the Woodford Reserve Rye is the best. I don't know. That Canadian Northern Harvest Rye from Crown Royal is woo-wee. Hunter Rye, well, it's fine. I got it so cheap, $11.99 for a full-size bottle at the Liquor Warehouse in Arlington, Texas. Texas State Highway 180 westbound. Formerly United States Highway 80, but something changed. But well, for that price, I was certainly glad to buy it. Definitely a good product in world class, not meant to be. But that's a future. That's for the future. That is then. This is now. They both smell, well, kind of similar. I think Beam has a house style. I think a lot of these companies have like a house style. Like a lot of their products smell and taste the same. Like George Dickel's whiskeys smell and taste like Flintstone vitamins. Explain that. I like Flintstone vitamins. We used to always fight over the grape, who got to get the grape. And they're all shaped like little Flintstone characters. I don't know if they still make those. They probably do. Okay. Now, do they still make the old Overholt black cap, the 80 proof? Who would know? Who would know? They don't have a website listing for either one. It's within the realm of possibility, I would think. And when I was at Walmart this morning for something else, buying Minwax. But I saw they had old Overholt red cap, like I've got right here. Same price as 2 years ago, $15.99. Didn't go up in price at all, $15.99. I said, oh, yeah. Walmart wants to win, whip inflation now. All right. Because they're hurting from it. Smells like vanilla. Smell like rye, which is spicy, an unusual type of bread. Medium bodied, medium long finish, really good. But I got it wrong this morning when I did the 80 proof. 80 proof, I couldn't tell it apart from a 90 proof. I was ashamed. Hair, my nose is itching. I know we got Major League Baseball coming up, top of the hour. I gotta go. I gotta hurry. The Mets and the Yankees. The Yankees are going downhill, and the Mets are going uphill. But that could change on a dime, But this tastes very similar. Very similar but it seems to have more body, more strength. Do they use the same mash bill for these two products? They're both from the same distillery. Who's to know? I wouldn't be shocked. Because, you know, think about it. They take one and they bring it down to 86 proof. They leave the other one at 90 proof. And when I was on that Barton 1792 distillery, the tour guide said all they do is add tap water to bring the proof down. I said, tap water? Yeah, yeah. She said, just out the faucet. I said, oh. And then you could just age it. You could age the Jim Beam 4 years or longer and age the old Overholt for just 3 years. Now, the filtering is different, you see. The old Overholt is claiming non-chill filtered, which means what? They're charcoal filtering it, dripping it through charcoal. That, as Jack Daniels tries to say, it's like something unique, like, oh, whoever heard of doing? We do this. And I'm thinking, a lot of people drip whiskey through charcoal. That's not that rare. I know you use sugar maple. We get that, but that's not rare. They do that with rum. But even some beers, they used to have doggone Old English 800 when it was made by Stroh's in Detroit, and it used to say charcoal filtered. Even the Schlitz Gold Bull used to say it was charcoal filtered, but then I don't know what's going on now. But the Jim Beam Rye is not making any claims to being non-chill filtered, which would lead me to believe it's still chill filtered. Do I notice a great difference in flavor here? Not really. Now, George Dickel, they brag about charcoal chill filtering. They say, George Dickel invented chill filtering. He pioneered it. And that's why George Dickel is so great, because it's chill filtered. Other people would say, what? All right. So, yeah, it could be the same mash bill here. Just one is aged 4 years or longer. The other one's aged 3 years. One is chill filtered. One is non-chill filtered. One is 90 proof. One is brought down to 86 proof. You know, master distillers. How hard would that be for them? Not really hard. The price, $1.50 more. Exactly $1.50 price difference. $15.99 for the old Overholt at Walmart. $17.49 for the Jim Beam Rye at Total Wine and More. Am I tasting $1.50 difference? Maybe $1. All right. The similarities are huge and the differences are minuscule in my assessment of it. So it was like that this morning. I was like, well, I think, I hope, I believe, possibly, maybe. And then I got it wrong and I was like, oh, doggone it. This is even harder because the proof is only 4 proof, 86 to 90. And a 1 year age difference. You say, well, the chill filtering versus non-chill filtering. That's the key. That's the key. Might be the key. But I don't have the keyhole. I got the key, but I don't have the keyhole because I can't figure it out. On a positive note, which one would I recommend? Very easily, I would say both, without hesitation, without a moment's hesitation. Would I recommend Old Overholt 3 year age non-chill filter 86 proof rye? You better believe I would. Straight rye whiskey. $15.99. That's your deal. That is your deal today. Buy it, try it, and I bet you'll love it. Assuming you like rye whiskey. It's got a brown bottle. That's important. It protects it from the light. that does help. Funny thing, the Jim Beam has a clear bottle, so it doesn't get the benefit of the brown glass. Think about it. Also, it does not claim to be non-chill filtered, so it's probably chill. Like it's like with tequila, if they don't claim to be 100% agave nectar, agave, then they ain't. It's mixto land. If they're not claiming to be non-chill filtered, then you know they are. No big deal. No big deal. You got to put these things together. It's like the George Dickel. They don't claim to be a straight rye whiskey. And you know what? You know they're not. Because if it was, they'd make the claim. All George Dickel says is rye whiskey. You say, well, what does that mean? Well, it can mean a number of things. Maybe they didn't age it at least 2 years. You say that young? Could be. Could be, but they would have to put an age statement. They may not use charred oak barrels. New charred oak. But you don't get it for cheap. It's more expensive than both of these. No. It's all about taking the little bits of information and putting them together in a coherent analysis of the products, which is what I'm trying to do. All right. Would I recommend the Jim Beam Rye? Yes, I would. I was reading about Canadian Club Rye, 100% rye. They say they're 100%. This does not make that claim. And the old Overholt does not make that claim. But the 100% Canadian Club Rye. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be $17.49 or $15.99, but it might be great. Okay, so I would recommend it. You ever notice rye whiskey bottles almost are always green? I think it's because they have that minty flavor. Just like light beers are always blue and silver, almost always blue and silver color scheme. Light beers. Dog 44 says, hoping to get a couple of 1980 vintage bottles, Johnny Walker Red and Seagram's VO, both 86.6 proof. Ah, right. That's right. Cross your fingers for me. Well, I hope you get them because, yeah, those whiskeys used to be higher proof. And then in the 90s somewhere, they lowered it to 80. Is that a good or bad thing? To me, it's a bad thing, but, it may not make a difference. But, Jack Daniels used to be 90 proof. Jack Daniels was 90 proof until 1987. Then they quietly dropped it to 86. And then about 2007, they quietly dropped it to 80. Didn't hurt the popularity. People are still buying Jack Daniels left, right, forward, and back, up and down. BC's Beer Reviews. Oh, BC's Beer Reviews says, good evening, Ron. Good evening to you, BC. Thanks for watching. So, end of the story here. I think this is the Jim Beam because it seems like it has a fuller body, but I'm definitely not confident at all. It's the old Overholt. Man, 2 in a row. But that's disgusting. 2 in a row. I got it wrong. You say, well, don't feel so bad. It's a Jim Beam, the Beam house style. They all kind of similar. That's probably true. But, they make some real high shelf ryes too. I mean, like really, it ain't no $17. Would I like to try them? Well, yeah, of course I like to try them. All right, so, but I'm dealing with the lower end right now. There has to be a bottom. There has to be a top. So the old Overholt would be supposedly your lowest priced Beam-Suntory rye product. But then, they got these products that's not listed, that's not on their website, that could be something called Claremont Special Rye, you know what I mean? Some bizarre product. And these companies do make outlier, bizarre products. So never sell them short, But I just hope when Thursday rolls around and I do the Jim Beam Rye versus George Dickel, I'll get it right. I really do think I'll get that one right, because even though they're both 90 proof, the Dickel is a strange animal, has a weird flavor, and I think I'll get it. All right, well, take care, BC and Dog and Rioan and everybody. And I'm sorry I got it wrong, but there's not much I can do about it. Y'all take care now.